Morning, everyone. This is just something at the start of the pod just to say if you could share it, if you could spread the word a bit, if you could tell your mates, try and get some interest in this. If you do enjoy it, it'd be much appreciated. If we start doing this on iTunes, if you could, and you're listening on iTunes, if you could go underneath and rate it and leave a little comment, that'd be much appreciated. So, yes, enjoy the pod.
Hello.
Respect, hello, is Jose Mourinho.
Fuck off.
I play great football. I think Tottenham deserve
Scottish.
What even is Portugal?
Not that.
Not that, no.
I deserve respect. I win titles with Chelsea, Real Madrid, Inter Milan. I get second with Man United.
This is dreadful. This is dreadful. This is honestly a cross between Portuguese and Scottish.
It's a bit.
Scottish.
It's like
It's brilliant.
It's a deep fried paella.
Yeah.
I deserve respect. I get Tottenham to
Is that the
title
only word
challenges.
you know how to say?
Yeah, it's all I've got. Anyway,
Respect.
welcome to Just Another Football Podcast. Hope everyone's had a good week of some interesting football, as I always say for some reason. Of course, there's only one game that everyone's talking about right now, which is the North London Derby, which will have one person that was very happy, one person that was gutted with it. So we'll go into it straight away. What were your thoughts going into the game, and just give us some general thoughts.
You can start.
I mean, like, it's always a weird one, the North London Derby, because, as they always say, form goes out the window. But I didn't think we were going to lose. I think I said that maybe to somebody. I was pretty sure we weren't going to lose because we don't look like losing at the moment, really. But I wasn't sure if we'd win or not, because, I mean, Arsenal haven't been great this season, but they've still got good players who can always turn up. They've got flashes of brilliance in them, their front line. So I wasn't entirely confident, but I was pretty sure we weren't going to lose. I thought we'd have enough to at least get a draw. I thought if I had to bet on it, I would bet on a Tottenham win. But I wasn't convinced. I wasn't completely confident.
What did you make of? So I think Tottenham's strategy was to try and hit them on the break early, and that worked really well when Son pings one in from 25 yards. So you're just like, okay, they're going to have to come for us now.
It was similar to City, wasn't it? Really,
Yeah.
I mean, because we back our defending and our defensive shape and being able to, once we get in front, to hold teams off. But it does sort of rely on a moment of brilliance from Son or Kane early on, and which we got luckily. It was a brilliant goal. It was a great finish. But even when that goal went in, I was just like, I thought, well, I don't think we're gonna lose now, especially they're not gonna score two. But I was confident even then that that's the game plan being executed already. I couldn't see us. I thought we were gonna win from the moment that goal went in, to be honest.
Fair enough. What did you think of the game, Harry? What were your initial after the game? What were your initial thoughts?
Very predictable. I think I said they would play that way a couple of weeks ago. And it was obvious to me that if we played the way that we ended up playing on Sunday, there was only going to be one outcome. Mourinho's done this for years. He made a name for himself at Chelsea doing it. His favourite scoreline's 2-0, and that's what the game was. So it's very predictable. It's very disappointing for me to watch an Arsenal team that haven't been as attacking or as, what's the word for it, sort of reckless as we were on Sunday early on, go into that game and get caught after 13 minutes on a counter-attack. I know it's a really good goal, but if you break it down from Arsenal's point of view, Bellerin's too high and it's a really poor cross from actually, and that you'll like this, Bob, a very statistically difficult position to score from on a cross. Where he puts that ball in from, deep and out on the right, he's not a good crosser of the ball anyway, but you get Trent Alexander-Arnold putting that in and you're very unlikely to score from there. The ball gets turned over, he can't get back in, and it's exactly what you don't want from an Arsenal perspective, which is Son running at Rob Holding on that right side of the defence, which is definitely the weaker side for us defensively. And I think to get caught that early, it's a really good goal, obviously, and maybe you can't legislate for that. And they said on the commentary that he's one of few players that you'd expect to do that. Well, any footballer can score, a world-class goal at any point, right? But what I would say is he's someone that is a lot more prone to doing it. You're more expecting him to at least hit the target when he cuts in on that right or from the left. And we knew it. The ball comes into Kane. I think someone should hit him from behind, foul him on the half. I'm not saying literally, punch him, but hit him on the halfway line. Whether that's Gabriel, whether that's Partey, whether it's Xhaka, I don't know where he was.
Yeah, I remember thinking that for the second goal, where the Celso break.
Well, the second goal we'll get onto. It's slightly different in terms of why it kind of happens, but with the first one, because it's so early on in the game, that's my first disappointment. To get caught on a break like that, it's not like we've been going for it in the 75th minute of the game. We're 13 minutes in. We actually started the game all right. I thought we were passing it around all right.
You were better than us in the first 10, definitely.
You might have been letting us have it, which is it's fine. But we hadn't looked threatened, and then pretty much the first break. I mean, there was one in the first 30 seconds which led to a free kick, but the first real break where it breaks down and we lose the ball in your third, and it gets turned over, and the ball comes into Kane. Someone should just stop him there and then, because he's seen it so many times. He's going to look to take it, turn, and feed Son, which is exactly what happens. And I mean, from there, as you said, it's exactly what Tottenham wanted. It's kind of what they need in their game plan, I think, at the moment. And it's exactly what we didn't need in terms of trying to have to chase the game with, obviously, attacking deficiencies, which we've spoken about in pretty good detail on this podcast before. So, no, it was predictable the way it panned out, I think.
Yeah, he had too much time on the ball for that first goal, Kane. I think it was Gabriel who was closing him down.
Gabriel ends up on him, but if you watch it back, he kind of runs off the back of a few of them.
Right.
I'm surprised he didn't hit him, to be honest. When we went to Man United, what he did really well is every time the ball went into one of their forwards, who aren't as good at holding it up as Kane is, but every time it went into one of them, he either won the ball back or he fouled them. But he didn't foul them and, get a yellow card straight away. He kind of fouled them in a clever way where you just you stop the attack. It's players like Fernandinho, you get accustomed to seeing it from them. So it wasn't good from our perspective. It's a really good goal, but it, as I said, it's just what we didn't need, and I could sort of see it happening, and it did.
I thought to be fair, bring it back to Tottenham, I thought Tottenham's two defenders, Eric Dyer, who's just found a new lease of life, and especially at the start of this season. I'm not sure how long it will continue for, but he looked really impressive. And Toby Alderweireld, who was maybe my man of the match with, each of them had 10 clearances. 5 aerial duels won by Toby Alderweireld, which is ridiculous. 3 from Eric Dyer, which is still really good. Højbjerg he looks like an absolute bargain of a signing. 1 tackle, 2 interceptions, and 8 clearances. That just shows about how, as much as Arsenal fans will absolutely hate him, he's a real asset for Tottenham, and he's a smart buy.
In that system, yeah, he's very good.
I was going to say, Harry, after the game, you had some other thoughts more than the reason ones you just laid out, and they were.
I did.
Primarily to do with Højbjerg, weren't they?
I'll happily repeat them about Højbjerg. I think he is the modern Vinnie Jones, and what I meant by that is he's dirty. He does the dirty work, but he's bloody effective. That's what it is. He is a Mourinho signing down to a T. And as much as I, was screaming obscenities during the game and he did my absolute head in, he does a job for them in that role, right? I'm not saying he's technically useless, but he's technically limited, right? When he gets the ball, he's not going to, start driving through midfield and pinging it 60 yards like a bloody Thiago, for example, from deep midfield. But he gives it to the players that can do that. He's good positionally. And he does the defensive side. And he's there to do a job. He is a Mourinho player. And on Sunday, after you went 1-0 up, it was a game tailor-made for someone like him. My only thing with him is I think when you are in a situation where you play a team that goes, you have the ball, you hurt us, which we should have done, by the way, and we have done in other games against big teams. But when you get someone that does that, I just think you'll find it that he's not as effective.
Yeah, no, probably not. I was surprised you didn't play like that, by the way.
So am I, because we've done it before as well. It's not like we haven't. That has been our blueprint for success in some of these big games. You think of last season, the FA Cup semi-final, the FA Cup final. The league game against Liverpool was a bit lucky, obviously. The Community Shield game against Liverpool was a more sort of obvious example of us doing it.
With the Man United game.
I think, the Man United. The Man United was slightly different in the sense that we played a bit higher up the pitch, but it was much more structured and in a back three. My observation of the way we approached the game is I think the way we went there was informed by our poor form. So what I mean by that is if we're coming there off the back of 2 wins against Leeds and Wolves, or we'd beaten Aston Villa at home, or we'd won some of these winnable games that we've had heavy defeats in, I think we could afford to go there and take a point. Unfortunately, we haven't got that luxury at the moment because we're in such poor form. We're so far down the table. I know it's congested, but our league position doesn't lie. The metrics are worrying, and we need to start picking up results. And I just think that, I don't defend him in any way. He shouldn't have done it, and I didn't like it the way we lined up. When I saw the team sheet, I thought it might be a back 5 at times, and it wasn't. And I didn't like it that we were pushed so high up the pitch from the get-go. Obviously, we get caught on the first goal, and I was really surprised. I have to say, I was really surprised.
Moving on from that, what are your thoughts on? Because a lot of would have been made. We're recording this just after the Champions League, but a lot's been made about Arteta, and people are starting to make decisions on whether he's the right man for Arsenal or not. What are your thoughts as an Arsenal fan?
Well, there's a lot going on in my head at the moment with regards to that question. I sort of don't want this to turn into a monologue where I just end up talking about Arsenal, but I think the issue I've got with people turning on Arteta already, you can question whether he's the man to take us forward. You can question whether you like the way we're trying to do it. So, should we have gone for a experienced, savvy manager, okay, that comes in and starts getting results like a Mourinho? My answer to that would be the issues at Arsenal post Arsene Wenger are so much more complex than people understand from afar. The internal issues at the club, it has been an absolute circus act for 2, 3, 4 years. People talk about us not winning the league since 2004. I think you can legislate for that for a certain period when we moved to the new stadium and we were financially constrained in a way that meant we couldn't compete with the likes of Manchester City and Chelsea and Manchester United. More recently, the money's been there. So if you look at the owners, right, we'll start from the top, right? The owners, since 2016, our net spend is 310 million, right? A big part of that is we don't sell players for a lot of value, but even our gross spend, I think, is 4th or 5th in the league. So if you're the owners and you look at it and you turn around and people are complaining about you, technically they could say, we've given you the money. We actually have. The money's been there. It's the way it's been spent that has been horrendous, and I will get onto that. But from an owner's standpoint, you could argue that the money's been there, and this is in no way, by the way, an endorsement of the Kroenkes. I've been outspoken on them at various points, but they could argue they've spent. I think the problem comes post Arsene Wenger, right? So if you look at it, the internal restructuring of the club is seriously worrying. It's been a complete overhaul. So since since 2017, we've brought in a head of recruitment, we've brought in a head of football relations, a head coach, a technical director, an interim manager, and then another head coach. In that same time, we've got rid of a manager in Arsene Wenger. The chief executive in Ivan Gazidis is gone. The head of recruitment that we brought in, Sven Mislintat, went after a year. The head coach, Unai Emery, who we brought in, was sacked. And then Freddie Ljungberg left his position at the end of the season. So if you're talking about the ownership, the biggest problem with them, they just don't know what they're fucking doing. It is like the simplest way you can put it. They keep appointing the wrong people, evidently, right? Because a lot of those people I've talked about that have come in, so Mislintat came in, he leaves. Sanyehi comes in, he goes. Emery comes in, he goes. A lot of these people have come in and gone within a 2-year period. That isn't right in any business. That's not how it's supposed to be. They've come in and then they've been deemed, their position's been deemed untenable. So if you're looking at the ownership, and this, I'm answering your question in a long, sort of convoluted way, but I think you have to start from the top because there's a reason I'm kind of doing it this way with Arteta. It's because there's kind of a lot going on that you need to understand. Talk about the ownership. There was an article on The Athletic about it, and I didn't necessarily agree with it, completely. But what it was basically saying is if you have people below them that are good at their job, they're good owners because there's enough money there to allow for a good job to be done beneath them. The problem is it's been pissed away, and it's been pissed away by several individuals who've been put in place. So the biggest culprit of this is probably Sanyehi, who was brought in as the head of football relations. Essentially, he was one of probably about 25 people at Barcelona that if you needed to do a deal with a couple of these bloody super agents that he's off having a beer with at the weekend or whatever, he's your guy, right? He'll get it done. He's got the contact with these guys. He pulls these intermediaries in and he does the deal. The problem is he gets brought in by Ivan Gazidis. Ivan Gazidis fucks off to AC Milan, having done a shit job, by the way, the prick. He fucks off. He brings in Sanyehi before, so he's trying to plan for the new regime. Then you've got Mislintat and Sanyehi. It's this sort of power struggle. Who's in charge of recruitment and the football side of things? Technically, it should have been Mislintat. But the problem he had was the path we were going down. It essentially was Sanyehi assumed control. He comes in, and the way in which we start signing people is it works more strongly on what we're offered from clubs and agents through networks that he has, right? So it's essentially who he can get a deal for.
The example I think of that is Denis Suarez on loan.
Denis Suarez, exactly. That's a very good example, and that's one that Mislintat spoke about. January 2019, we need a winger, right? And he says, well, why don't we bring Saka in through the academy? I think he'd played one Europa League game for us. And Unai Emery and Sanyehi overrule him. They bring Denis Suarez in. He plays one game for us. He had a reputation as being a player that was mentally and physically fragile in a time where results were so important. He was dreadful. He couldn't get on the park. So you look at Sanyehi, that's one example of where he's cocked up. The second criminal example of what he's done is, well, there's multiple actually, but there's contact-led recruitment, right? David Luiz, Cedric Suarez, Pablo Marie, and most recently Willian. All disgusting deals for various different reasons, because these two big super agent contacts he has in Arturo Canales and Kia Drabchin, right? That's the second big issue I have with him, is some of these deals he's done. The Pepe deal, which is the one that eventually cost him his job, where he brings in an intermediary again to work with a club that have to put it nicely, a sort of murky history when it comes to transfers and where the money's sort of going with these super agents that are brought in to kind of deal with some of these players. And that it sort of spoke about that he sort of profited 10, 15 million from that deal. So eventually what the Kroenkes did in the height of this like coronavirus pandemic is they got their lawyer on the ground in London, a guy called Tim Lewis. They put him on the board and they said, we want you to sort of go over the finances, because whatever you want to say about these guys, they care about their money, right? He has a look at that deal. It took him 6 weeks from when he got put on the board to when Sanyehi was sacked. So how stupid must he have been? How much of a trail must he have left behind him to get sacked within that short a period of time, right? Then you look at other deals. Unai Emery was appointed Arsenal manager after his own agent recommended him to Raul Sanyehi, or the guy that would become his agent. Who was he? The guy he's friends with, Arturo Canales. Then he wanted to give Unai Emery a new contract at the end of the season.
I don't know why. He didn't even do anything.
He wanted to give Unai Emery a new contract at the end of the season after he lost the Europa League final to Chelsea. He should have been sacked then, right? So that's another example of what he did. It was a disgusting modus operandi that he had at Arsenal. And I think even if we'd gotten the Champions League, he'd still have been sacked. It's worth mentioning as well, Edu. You mentioned Edu earlier, right? Edu was brought in by Raul Sanyehi. He's brought in by Raul Sanyehi. Who is he represented by? Arturo Canales.
Edu is
right?
Edu's a terrible sporting director.
I'll get on to Edu. Trust me, I'm coming for him next. I've got to talk about these super agents first, right? I have to talk about them.
I'll get on to them. This has been going for a while, I feel.
This is, but the reason I'm so angry about it is because I think fans are stupid. I don't think they realise what's going on at the club. And it's very easy to just go, well, Arteta's the manager. He's got to go. You can be critical of him and say he's made mistakes, and also say that there are far bigger and more pressing problems at the club that need to be addressed first. Or at the very least, if we got rid of him, they'd still be there. And I'll get on to why they can't sack him, and it is to do with Edu, and I'll talk about that first. But I've got to talk about these super agents quickly, right? Kia Drabchin, I've got a big problem with this guy. Why is he privy to details that he should not be privy to? So what I mean by that is, in June, he does an interview with TalkSport, a national radio station, and essentially the quote from him was, several issues within the internal structure need to be resolved at Arsenal Football Club, right? 3 weeks later, our entire scouting network gets sacked. So why was he aware of that? Why was he either aware of that, or potentially, and I'm not certain of this, but he could have been influential in that. He could be someone that they're looking at and thinking, well, he can do us a few deals down the line. We're going to go away from this sort of watching players and data-level recruitment, and we're going to do deals based on who we know, right? Which the evidence suggests, like the deals I've mentioned, we have been doing. And he's been a key part of that. The Willian signing. Let's talk about the Willian signing, right? The Willian signing. Everyone's favourite signing at Arsenal Football Club. A 32-year-old. Chelsea don't want to give him a 3-year contract. Why do they not want to give him a 3-year contract? Because he'll be 5 by the end of his contract. How many 35-year-old wingers in the Premier League do you know?
None.
Seriously, how many 35-year-old wingers do you know? You don't know any, let alone at a club like Arsenal, right? He's brought in. The guy, Jarabchin, has the cheek to say today that he wasn't involved in it and Mikel Arteta was pushing for it. What, so he doesn't represent the player? The deal wasn't done in his living room. Everyone knows the deal was done in his living room. Willian was signed and his photos were taken in Jarabchin's living room. And I find that an absolute disgrace. How can a player be signed in someone's living room?
Yeah, that is.
Do you see what I mean? It's disgraceful. He's too close to things at the club. And Edu and Rao are a big part of that. So we can talk about Edu now, because Edu's a big part of this as well.
Just to say, so to play devil's advocate for a bit, a lot of people would say, look at Wolves and the connections with George Mendes and say, this model.
Yeah, and Monaco. Yeah, but this is me personally. I don't want a super agent running our club. Yeah. And it's why I didn't want Nuno as our manager when he was getting linked with it. Because that is not the way I want to operate as a club. I think it requires a very sort of specialist pipeline. So, at Wolves, with Nuno, he's able to sort of pump in these players from Portugal, and it's a very specific environment. I don't think Arsenal I could ever see being run like that, personally. I just don't think people would stand for it. I understand what you're saying. He did it at Monaco as well, and they were successful for a period with it. So I understand you playing devil's advocate with it, but let's just look at the signings we've done with relation to this super agent. They've been absolutely dreadful. Not one of them has been good. Not one of them has been good. And
they're also a different profile to the players that Wolves are getting. Wolves are getting 22, 21-year-olds.
Do you know what I mean? Exactly. So that's him. Edu, let's talk about Edu.
Fucking clueless.
I've got no idea what he is doing there. As I said, he was brought in by Rao, basically because he was mates with the agent, right? That's the crux of it. They can sell this myth that he's an Arsenal legend. He's not an Arsenal legend. He was an Arsenal substitute for the Invincibles. He was like the 4th choice centre mid. He's not an Arsenal legend. I'm not having that. So he'll ruin his Arsenal legacy with the job that he's currently doing at the club. He was very clever, Edu. He was very clever because he played an active role in getting Arteta as manager, which you may or may not disagree with, right? But the hierarchy since Arteta's come in, they've clearly been impressed by what they've seen from him as a personality. And Edu was close to that. He positioned himself close to Arteta. And what it meant was, when this Tim Lewis bloke landed on the ground and he started looking at, what had been going on under this regime with Raus and Yehi and Husfami, the contracts bloke who was sacked a month ago, Edu was close to all of that. But he wasn't responsible for any of it. So he wasn't in a position where they could turn around and apportion blame to him and tell him that he has to go as well. But he was aware of all of that going on. And he also has connections with these super agents that I've mentioned. He's a big part of what's gone on at the club. And that's without even mentioning the fact that he's not even fucking good at his job, right? So he was doing it for Brazil and Corinthians, right? I gave him a chance this summer. The Awar deal. Apparently, the Leon hierarchy would take the piss out of him because he wouldn't, when negotiating a deal, get in front of the president, Orlas, to talk about it. He wouldn't do it. He thought that his mate, Juninho, who he used to play Brazilian football with, was going to cut him a deal. The naivety of it is absolutely astonishing. When you think about Lyon and the way they've done business in the past and how difficult, we know how difficult they are to deal with because we signed Lacazette from them, which was a really difficult transfer to do. It went on for 3 or 4 summers and we couldn't do it. And then we got him. So he knew that and he still hasn't done his job. But when I talk about Arteta and why I think Edu can't sack him because of exactly what I've just mentioned. How he pushed for him as manager and how glowingly he's endorsed him since he's become manager. I say manager. Arteta's role has changed. So he obviously was brought in as head coach and his role was changed from head coach to manager. And you've got to ask yourself, why was that done? The reason it was done, to be bluntly honest with you, is because they do not have the people in those positions to preside over matters that he now is very heavily involved in. They've looked at the Raul Ranieri regime and the Sanieri regime, and they've gone, we don't want that happening again. We want our manager closer to it, sort of like they had with Wenger. If they sack Arteta, how can Edu, who, strictly speaking, would be responsible for sacking him, how can Edu sack him without being fired?
Yeah, no.
When he's chosen him and glowingly endorsed him. Do you see what I mean? He can't sack him.
For me, how it looks like at Arsenal right now is you'll keep Arteta to the end of the year unless you're battling relegation, which I can't see.
That's what it would have to go so wrong. But basically, what I've done there, when I talk about all the problems that have gone on at Arsenal, the shambolic internal structure, this shambolic internal personnel, the involvement of these super agents, is to demonstrate that the internal structure is a shambles. So you can remove Arteta if you want, but you have to be looking at the bigger picture. If you get rid of him and you get a sort of savvy, experienced manager in, or even an exciting young coach, are they going to be given the tools to succeed by a distant ownership and a frankly shambolic hierarchy that haven't been able to do their job post Wenger? And I've got no sort of feeling that they'll be able to do it now. Is my personal opinion on it all.
So yes, I agree.
That's my monologue over.
I should got loads of TV.
That would.
Passionate 20-minute rant from Arsenal fan.
Why it's not just Arteta? So yeah, my thing would be, this is going to be a project. You've got lots of issues with contracts. Ozil's still there. Willian, everyone knows the problems they've got with contracts. So to turn that around is going to be a massive deal, and there's going to be a lot of unknowns in that, in like who you sign. And Arteta to me is still an unknown. So when Edu goes,
he is.
I would look to instill a system, and this is a bit rogue as a managerial appointment if you were to get rid of Arteta. But Sarri is an option for a guy that's going to come in and instill a system and build a team that's going to be, good enough to compete. Because as much as he, people complain about his football and he has issues, they win. They did what Chelsea got third in Europa League final and won it. He won the league with Juve. He instills a system that's successful. As much as he gets a bit of rap because he's a bit of a weirdo, he smokes on the side, I think he'd instill a system, and I think you can start signing players, bring Sven as an attack back, or that ilk of ownership.
Well, I just want it to be. I want it to. I don't want to be overly reliant on data, but you need to have some sort of strategy when it comes to recruiting players. So when you talk about instilling a system, or even just looking at a bigger term project, right? So say Arteta comes in and he sells it as a 5-year project, right? The 5-year plan. He comes in and that's his idea. Well, that's all well and all, but you've come in and you've signed Cedric Suarez, Pablo Mari, and Willian. They're not going to be here in 5 years.
No, they're not. Exactly. So
I mean, it's a confused project because there's multiple instances of where they've signed. Even Thomas Partey, who I think is a really good player, he's been signed for the right here, right now. Do you know what I mean? They are clearly valuing performances in the short term, because otherwise they wouldn't be bringing these guys in. They'd be blooding the youth and they'd be adding players through who are under the age of 23 or 24. They haven't done that.
So yeah,
they haven't done that.
That's what, because I think if you have a Sarri system, it's much easier to get players for, because you know what the role is going to be, so you can get more specialized players.
Yeah, look, the jury's out on him, but I just think that closing. Sorry, mate.
Should have kept Arsene.
Should have kept Arsene.
No, because he's a bit. Look, I didn't go Priest sort of when he went, but he's a big part of the why we are where we are now, because a lot of bad recruitment went on under him. He signed Xhaka and Mustafi. We still haven't been able to get rid of them. He signed Kolasinac. That's three. That's probably the three biggest dead wood in the squad.
True.
You know, you can talk about Özil and Socrates as well, but in terms of those guys, they play and they've been 2 or 3 years. They should have been gone before now. So
I do really mind the Kolasinac one because you got him on a free, but yeah.
No, but he's on huge wages,
Yeah,
and
true.
you know that's the problem with free transfers is you pay this ridiculous premium on their wages, and the money just goes to the player and the agent.
Yeah.
David Luiz was a free, but it's rumored that the deal cost us 24 million last year.
That's bad.
So, you know that it's appalling, mate. It's appalling. But just to close on Arsenal, like I you know, there's a big question mark about whether Arteta was the right man, and I think you can recognize that definitely, but do you know what I mean? He might be 15% of a problem at the club. You've got the ownership, which has gone on for 10 or 15 years. It's been a huge issue, and you've got the people below him, which are, you know, whether you're talking about Gazidis or whether you're talking about Sanyehi or whether you're talking about Edu, like the guys that have been instilled by the Kroenkes haven't done their job. And what gives you any faith that if you brought in a new manager, they would do their job in any case? So I think we'll see. I think, you know, we get to the end of the season and reassess.
I think so. There's a team I'm going to talk about. Well, I think Gibbs' internet's gone, but there's another team that I'm going to talk about right now who's again had problems at the top. Which is Barcelona. So they lost. Yeah. There's weird parallels here.
Well, that's what I was going to say. There's a similarities. It's on different scales, isn't it? But Barcelona have done it for 5 years now, where they've signed players because of their name and reputation. Like Griezmann's on 850 grand a week.
That's insane.
It's disgraceful, about insane. It's an absolute joke.
And then they lost. Okay, so Cadiz is a team that's like, I heard it described as like the Blackpool of La Liga. When they came up, no one gave them a chance, and they've already beaten Real Madrid and Barcelona, which demonstrates, you know, how much them two teams are struggling, and how, you know, if you've got a bit of money, put Atletico to Madrid to win the league this year. But they've got, here's a name you'll recognise, Alvaro Negredo playing as their...
Negredo.
Yeah, 3 goals, 3 assists. He's doing bits.
From the past, that.
It is. Barcelona will have the same issues of problems at the top, a poor managerial, but I think the key difference is Koeman's a terrible managerial appointment.
To be at Barcelona, to be where he is, I don't know how he's got that job.
Because he scored a header in like 1990s.
Or he played for them. He used to play for them.
Yeah, he scored a winner, so that they you know loved playing. But then you look at their team. I'd say that the assets you can keep are Ter Stegen, Frankie De Jong, maybe Longley, and a bunch of the like Trincao and all
the kids, isn't it?
The pet and it's the kids. But they've got so much deadwood. I'd maybe even say more than Arsenal's.
For a club of their calibre, I mean, when we're recording this, they've just lost 3-0 tonight.
I think they're out now. I think they're out.
It's a dead rubber. No, I think they're through in the group. I think
they were top, with Juventus.
I think they're through in the group. I don't know if they'll top the group now, though. I don't know.
No, they won't now.
I'm thinking of Real Madrid. Sorry.
But Real Madrid, they're playing tomorrow. They got Mönchengladbach. But yeah, I mean, I was saying, someone was saying to me yesterday that Pogba would be a great signing for Barcelona. I thought that is the absolute worst signing they could make.
Yeah.
A player coming in with huge baggage. Obviously, his agent's been out in the media this week, which just contributes towards my absolute hatred of super agents and their growing influence in football. But he is exactly the profile of signing, you know, like that has caused them problems in the past, where you bring in a big name player on ridiculous wages and they don't live up to expectations, and then there's nothing you can do with them.
And meanwhile, in the rest of the league, you've got Atletico Madrid selling Griezmann and buying João Felix in the same window, and all of a sudden they look like they've got, you know, they've made a mockery of.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, definitely.
Could win the league.
100%.
Bit of money. Goose, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Cool.
I just took my camera off.
I feel like we need to ask the Goose about Spurs, because I sort of went off on a rant about Arsenal.
I was looking forward to
we haven't really talked about Spurs going forward.
Can you win the league?
I don't know. I think we'll wait until we play Liverpool.
Yeah, that's what I think.
I think Crystal Palace. I think Crystal Palace will be an interesting game this weekend, because
they're on good form.
They're not going to come out and attack you, though. No. They'll do what they do, just sit back and counter attack. So it'd be interesting to see how you approach a game where you've effectively got a team doing what you do. You know.
If this is any...
I'm curious, because it's only really been the last sort of the last 3 games we've really gone like full Jose Mourinho and sat back and not like taken the game to our opponents. I'm curious to see what he'll do now, because I'm hoping he's not just going to go into it relying on a moment to win us the
Surely
game, like
not.
sort of like we had against West Brom and Burnley as well. I'm sort of curious. I really don't know.
Yeah, these next, I feel like get to the end of Christmas after that busy schedule, and then that's when you say, we've got our title challenges. Who's going to win the league out of these?
Yeah, on Spurs, I feel like all their fixtures have either been games you'd really expect them to win, or big games. And I think Mourinho really relishes big games. Like, how many games have you had that are awkward? I think maybe Southampton is one, but apart from that, if you look at all the home games you've had, and then you've played West Brom and Burnley away from home, do you know what I mean? You haven't played like
Everton, then they lost,
or a Leicester. They played Everton, they lost 1-0.
So and to be fair,
I don't know. What do you think, Goose? How do you think you'll fare in those?
We'll see,
games?
because I was looking through the fixture list.
You've got Wolves and Leicester, haven't you? Around
Yeah.
Christmas.
We do, yeah, and I am worried about those games, probably more so than I would be about a big game at home, because I feel like we have got a sort of a playbook now for those games. Like we know how to win those games now. Whereas those little games against, even like last season, those are the ones that were really tripping us up.
Tripped you up, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. Really, I just don't know how he's going to approach them.
I did think you were quite, even though he scored 5 goals, I thought you were quite poor against Southampton. I thought they could have been out of sight in the first half.
Yeah. By the time that Son made it 1-1, I thought that as well.
Yeah. So
we were lucky in that game.
So that would
we
be
were great in the second half.
You know, and is there any danger of anyone else except from Son and Kane scoring? And everything Son hits goes in, and I don't get it. I'll watch it.
Yeah. What's his XG now?
It's like 5.5.
I bet that didn't add much to it, did it? That goal he scored on.
It was
Sunday.
0.02 that the XG on the shot he had from under stat.
Yeah, I was thinking like before coming on, we are gonna have a similar discussion to last time.
Yeah.
Like Son and Kane still scoring all the goals, looking good defensively. Like Son massively outperforming his XG.
The FPL did a thing where it was like, so they've started tweeting. I'm not sure they do it every year, but they do goal, assist, and then what happened. And they put it blank and said, "Who do you think of?" And all I thought of was Son, Kane, or Kane, Son. And I was just like,
yeah.
They've got such a good
link. It is
up.
ridiculous at this point. It really is.
So, I mean, I think Tottenham might win the league. I actually
Really?
do now. I actually
Don't
do.
say it out loud.
I actually do think you can.
If it was any other manager apart from Jose, I wouldn't.
But did you see that tweet where it was like his record in second seasons? So he finished first, and everyone said Man United, and he said Man United was his best achievement. So, I mean, there's a pattern there.
If it's gonna happen, it's gonna be this year. I think that much is definitely.
I agree with that.
Because with everything going on, like Liverpool with all the injuries, City not looking so good, Chelsea in a sort of transition phase, Arsenal struggling.
It's also just an exceptional season, isn't it? Though, but in terms of obviously it's a quick turnaround, no fans in the ground.
Seize the day, lads. Come on.
Can Spurs win it? No. Can they?
Don't do that.
We're so conditioned to answering that question is no, of course not. Spurs. Yeah. But I think things are a bit different under Jose. It has to be because it's him. Like it's not the same because he's proven that he can do it.
Okay, Goose. Here's a theory for you.
Yeah.
Poch joins Man United. You're going for the title race. You've got Man United coming up. You level with Liverpool. You lose. Liverpool win. You lose to Poch's Man United, and that costs you the league.
No, he'd throw the game, I reckon, honestly. He'd throw the game.
Yeah, I do feel...
I don't know. I wonder if he will go there now.
Yeah, it's Poch was trending on Twitter.
Likely with the day.
I do miss him. I do really miss Pochettino. Yeah. Like
I do love the guy.
Yeah.
Oh, that Spurs team were much better to watch than this one.
Oh God, yeah.
Definitely. But we didn't win anything.
No, I know it's a weird one though, because I remember when we used to play you, I would always fear playing it. And I know we lost on Sunday, so it sounds silly, but like that other team you had, you played such good football. I just felt like you could take most teams apart at like any point. Whereas this one, I think it's obviously a team conditioned to winning. And actually, I thought the Sky punditry on Sunday was absolutely fucking ridiculous. When they were talking, they were basically saying God, well, it must be rubbish to be a Spurs player, at the moment, the way you're being asked to play. And I was thinking to myself,
Winning games.
hold on a minute,
Winning
they've just
games.
won the North London derby 2-0 and they're top of the league. What the fuck are you talking about?
It was Redknapp mainly. He was the worst.
How
He's
it-
dreadful. Isn't
How
he?
much Matthew going?
How does he
Yeah,
get
it
a
was.
job?
It was really shit because we can't play the right way. Yeah, I was like, yeah, he's not going to say that, is he? He's
I
probably
know,
loving
so
Sky.
like-
I just don't get it. I don't get Sky punditry. Can we move on now? Can we just get, can we just move on from Sky punditry? But yes,
It is the
no.
worst, especially Jimmy
Uh,
Redknapp.
God, they're all,
He is the worst.
I mean, best of a bad bunch. We'll leave it at that. So, this is another. It's not Premier League. I've tried to mix it up a bit this week because we've had so much Tottenham and Arsenal. I thought let's look to Scotland. Let's look to Neil Lennon, ex-Bolton manager, had a 22%.
You were doing your best Scottish impression earlier, to be fair.
I was. It's not. It's near bad. Oh, it's terrible. But no. So Steven Gerrard. Is he a big name or is he a really good manager? Because he's conceded 3 goals and got 38 goals scored. They're absolutely tearing up the league. 13 points clear. Meanwhile, Neil Lennon is a horrific manager. Trust me.
Dead man walking, isn't he?
Oh God, he's so bad.
They issued the dreaded vote of confidence. I think
yeah, they did. I saw that. That was
Really?
God.
Oh my goodness! And I just thought to myself, like, I'm not, obviously not close to it, but I thought the stuff I'm seeing on Twitter,
They're so bad.
this is going to get really ugly though. Like, did you see the video of the fans like outside the ground after they lost to someone in the cup?
Was it
I
Kilmarnock?
think? It might have been Kilmarnock. They lost 2-0.
But
Someone was they were outside the ground, and it just looked. I've never seen anything quite like it with Celtic. It's just
they're
horrendous.
terrible. They need a replacement for Scott Brown. Shane Duffy isn't a ball playing centre back. I don't know why they're playing him
Is
there.
Scott Brown still playing at
He
Celtic?
is like 35.
He's
like,
timeless, that bloke. I swear.
He's like 45 at this point, isn't he?
He must be.
Yeah, forever.
So yes, Scott. Are Celtic after 9 years in a row gonna mess it up and not do 10?
Looks like it, doesn't it?
It looks like it, yeah.
They made a
I
stupid
think
appointment after
so.
Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah, Neil Lennon was.
Trust
He's been
me,
there already, hasn't he?
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did loads. I was really excited when he came to
Who
football.
was he? He managed someone in the lower leagues, didn't he? Was
Yeah,
it like
Bolton.
Sunderland?
No, it was
Something like that? Was it
Bolton. Yeah,
Was
it
it
was.
Bolton?
22% win record. He was we get
Oh,
record low points in the
Didn't
championship.
Neil Lennon mastermind that win over Barcelona?
He did. That's why I
Tell
was
you what.
thinking, he definitely managed them before.
Yeah. So
12% possession or something like that.
That was funny. That was.
It's glorious.
So, can we please move on from Neil Lennon for my own sanity and into your player of the weekend? Mine is Mason Mount because I thought he was very good against Leeds, which I thought was going to be a difficult game. He just turned up and played really well. He got 7 key passes, 2 dribbles, 2 shots. Really good weekend. And I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Mason Mount. His numbers have never stood out. I thought he was as good as a Barkley, but a bit younger. But I mean, if he keeps on putting up performances like that, he's starting to grow a bit. So I mean, as a player, he's not getting taller. So yeah, no, if he puts performances like that in, I think he can really be an asset to Chelsea, which I didn't think he was going to be 4 or 5 months ago. But
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about Mason Mount.
Do you guys? Obviously, this season he's playing a different role, right? He's playing in a midfield 3 rather than sort of as an orthodox number 10 or even like one of the front 3, which they did a bit last season with him. And I do like watching him. I think he's a good player, actually. I was quite impressed when we played them last season. He's just tidy. I don't think he's anything special, but like he does
That's
things that look easy. But he picks the ball up in tight areas. He has a good touch. He can sort of run with it a little bit. He's quite a tidy passer.
He's quite good looking as well, which I think helps.
I don't know. I just think he's one of those players. He's got good players around him. I think Chelsea squad is looking good.
Yeah.
But I think he's one of those players. Like maybe when he's gone, you might think he's sort of he's one of them that you remember. God, he was pretty decent then, wasn't he? When you when you put someone else in there and maybe they're a different player, and you think, well, I think he's one of those you might miss him when he's gone. I think he's a decent player, and I think he will be a big part of England at the Euros if he stays fit. Actually,
I wonder if
whether that's right or wrong.
I wonder if Kai Havertz coming in really have changed.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, maybe. It's like with Sergio Aurier. He's been brilliant this season. Probably because we signed.
You need competition in those positions.
Yeah, exactly. Because that position, he had no one like
Exactly.
up against him all year, and this guy's come in and he's been brilliant since then.
Mm.
I just think with Mason Mount, I watched him play and he reminded me of Harry Winks. And I can't shake that.
I think he's a bit better than him. I
He's
do.
better. It's the same sort of style, like sort of not that like
I think
brilliant English.
I think he's a
French
bit
midfielder.
more. He's a bit more inventive as a player. I think he's a bit more like forwardly orientated. If you think like he's sort of, that's definitely not a way to put it, but he's played further up the pitch than
Yeah,
Winks.
I know,
Winks has
I know,
always
he is
played
better.
as a sort of bog standard centre mid. I just think with Mount, he was quite good last season. He got a lot of stick
He
from
started
Chelsea
the season
fans.
really well.
Yeah, he
I
did.
seem to remember.
It was really. He was alright at Derby. Harvey Barnes was better in the Championship for the bloke. From
Yeah.
But he was still good. I quite like Harry Winks. So
I know you
Yeah,
do,
we know.
I
so
don't.
only bloke in the
Ridiculous.
world. Only bloke in the world that does. But any other suggestions for Player of the Week?
I was
think
gonna say Toby. To be honest.
Yeah,
Toby Alderweireld.
he
I
was
think also
good.
I should point him out because like he last season wasn't that good at all, really. Like he was part of a defense that was leaking goals and making mistakes every week. And sort of this year he's really upped it, and the calmness and sort of composure that he brought to the team when he first came in seems to be coming back, and it's transforming everyone around him as well. I think so. I think he's been great this season.
Do you think it might have been last season linked to his contractual situation in any way? Because obviously that was all up in the air. It was sort of one of him or Vertonghen, really, wasn't it?
I think it must have. After his contract got signed, I can't remember when it was. It was quite soon after Jose came in, I think.
Yes, it was. It was after
improved a
Jose
bit.
came in.
Yeah, but this season he's really been great, and he's like
He's a good defender. He is a good defender.
He is good. He is good. I wouldn't, he's getting a bit old, but I would still like him.
Yeah, he's not the same that he was, when you were at your best, I think, under Pochettino, but he's a good defender.
I think in a game like that where he doesn't have to
he was helped. I was gonna say he was helped by the fact master. I mean, you said he won 10 aerial duels.
Yeah.
That was probably due to the fact that we put 55 fucking crosses into the box, despite the fact that no one can head a fucking ball in our team. I mean,
so
it just staggers me. It staggers me that he comes out after the game and he says, "Well, it's pure mass, isn't it? If you put more crosses in, you're gonna score more goals." It's like, no, you're not.
No.
Good crosses.
That's what we want you to do.
I know. You made Man City do it as well. It's like
we're playing 6 at the back with 4
Harry,
centre backs. We're loving it.
Hector Bellerin for your Player of the Week then?
Tottenham Player of the Week then. I mean, he. I tell you what, I would honestly, I'd have taken him off at half time, and I'd have fined him a month's wages because that's 5 foul throws this season. Yeah, for a month. Because if he can't take a throw in, which is what you get taught at under 10s when you do 11 aside for the first time, if you can't take a throw in properly, then I've got no idea what you're doing on the pitch. But it's getting a joke now. There's been 15 foul throws this season, and 5 of them have been him. And it feels like he's doing it every game now. And the problem is, it's not a huge thing, but he's getting a reputation for it now.
Yeah.
So every time there's a chance a referee could, pull him up for a foul throw in, they are. And they are because of him, because he keeps fucking doing it. So
to be fair, they said in the commentary that he did 2 before. He did 2 foul throws before they called him up.
Exactly. That's what I mean. So they are looking for it. They might even be giving him a chance, and they probably don't want to give foul throw-ins, but it's just beyond the point of ridiculous now with them.
Anyway.
No, my serious Player of the Week. I mean, it's hard to look past someone like Fernandes for Man United. I think he just made such a difference when he came on. And the reason I bring him up is because when I look at Arsenal at the moment, I think he made such a difference to Man United this time last season when they were on the same amount of points as us, just after Christmas. There are differences between where we are now and where they were, because we deserve to be where we are, whereas their metrics or underlying metrics was a lot better than the number of points they picked up, even though they weren't great in games. They kind of did enough to get more points than they ended up getting, whereas we aren't. Our numbers are crap. But we just, watching him come on at half time, he gets on the ball, he makes brave decisions. Do you know what I mean? What he brings, which not a lot of other players do, and I know it's it's inflated by the fact he takes penalties, right? But it's end product. No one's got more goals than him since he's come to Manchester United. He created, I think, 8 chances when he came on in one half of football, which is just exceptional.
He's really good.
Yeah, I mean, he is really good. I don't like him, but he's exactly what you'd want from a professional as well. Like, his attitude is just spot on, and it's a stark contrast to someone like Pogba. I think a year ago, they'd be probably begging Pogba to stay because they didn't have anyone that could sort of, be that flair player for them. Now, I think they'll drive him to the airport, to be honest.
Yeah. Again, this is dated terribly, but I wasn't for the prize. I wasn't that convinced about Bruno because I thought he was coming out of Sporting, and I wanted for 48 million, a bit more, to do in a higher league.
It's Man United though. Goose said it the other day. Like, you do pay a premium.
Yeah, that as well. And I thought if they maybe didn't go for the Bruno Fernandes deal, they could have lowered that, add-on, like the percentage extra they have to pay because of Man United. But no, it's worked.
He's been excellent. I mean, he really has. He's just, them finishing third was in no part, no small part down to him.
Yeah. Anyway, predictions for next week.
Let's do them.
Currently, this is weirdly, similar. So there's a 2-point gap between all of us. Goose is on 12. I'm on 14, and then Harry's on.
Goose is on 12.
Not Goose, the guest this week.
Guest.
Goose. To be fair, Goose got more. You got. It was a terrible week, so you got 4. I think Harry got 3.
We did dreadfully, Goose. Do you remember we were messaging each other about
yeah.
So, but
it's because there were so many unpredictable results that week.
Yeah, they were. It was a tough one.
That you're the first person to win as the guest, so congratulations.
Brilliant.
Oh Christ! It must have been a low bar then.
So yes, it's very tight. Weirdly,
if he
tight.
won with like 3 or what did he get? 4.
4. Yeah. I got 3, and you got 2.
Good God, I got 2. That's right. I went from 8. Was it 8 to 2? Good God.
So anyway, the first game of the week, Leeds v West Ham. West Ham look really good, and I'm going to predict them for a win.
They keep playing well, West Ham.
Even with David Moyes.
Well enough, were they?
No.
They should have had that game won behind. I knew as soon as that went in 1-0, Man United would win it. Not just because I thought they would bring Bruno and Rashford on, but I just thought they can't be that bad again. And West Ham, I didn't think could play that well again. And to be fair to them, the game basically changed after Pogba scored. So it wasn't like United came out and bossed the second half until about the 63rd or something minute where Pogba put it in the top corner. They looked pretty comfortable, but I just thought the second that the goal went in, it was going to change, and it did in the end. But they were unlucky. They just got to start taking their chances.
Yeah. They've got some really good players. I think their recruitment's actually been quite good.
Bowen
was
Bowen was
First
good.
time in ages.
Dupek looks a good player as well.
Yeah, him. They've signed so many absolute shitters over the years, haven't they?
Haller looks like an actual useful football player instead of just.
Did you see the chance he missed though?
Did he miss a sitter?
Oh my God, he went round the keeper. It got given offside. I'm not sure whether it would have been via because it's one of those like it would have been armpits time, right?
Yeah.
But he went round the keeper. And then like a defender was on the line, so he tried to take another touch, and then she took another touch and then fell over. And it was just almost like comical. Who do I think will win that game? I think it will be a Desmond.
Nice, 2-2.
I think it'll be a draw as well. Yeah.
Ooh.
I think they'll cancel each other out. I think it'll be a good game though.
So Wolves v Aston Villa. So Aston Villa obviously didn't play this weekend. So
no, they didn't.
Got nothing to go off from last weekend, but I don't back Wolves as attacking, actually, especially without Jimenez. I think Villa will win this 2-0 with Grealish getting a brace.
Be good for my fantasy, that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Wolves looked $1 million against us. I mean, anyone does. That says more about us than it does them. I said before we played them, and I'm not going to change my mind having seen them play well against us. They haven't been up to the levels this season.
No, the numbers are terrible.
And then, I mean, look at it. Before they played us, like they'd scored 8 goals, I think. They scored a couple against us. They're up to 10, I think, after 11 games. Or it might be 11 after 11 games, which, is poor, to be honest, because they've got good players in their attack. Obviously, Jimenez is injured, which doesn't help them. And I think...
But they've got some good players. I think, but their metrics are terrible. Like
I think a draw. Another Desmond.
I'm not sure. Villa is so hard to predict this season.
They're good away, though, aren't they?
I think I will go for Villa. I think they'll get a win.
Nice. Manchester Derby, Man United v Man City.
Are we just like not doing Newcastle West Brom?
Oh, I just
Yeah. Who cares? We're not gonna.
You don't blame me for skipping over that game.
Not at all. Not at all. I would have done the same.
Newcastle are at home. They'll probably win, and Callum Wilson will probably get a goal.
It'll be boring. 0-0.
It'll be boring. I reckon Newcastle will win.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I still don't know what to do for the Man United v Man City one.
Well,
No idea.
had we recorded this
2
earlier,
hours ago,
we've just so for those listening, the Man United have just gone out of the Champions League to Leipzig. It feels like every time Ollie needs a result, he gets one.
and he's got a good record.
And this is that's what I was gonna say. It's a good game for him, isn't it? Because we know what Man City are gonna do. They're gonna come on to them. It feels like every time Man City drum up a bit of form this season, they lose. You know, like the couple of losses they've had have come off the back of a few wins. You know, so
I'm going to go for Man United. I think they're.
So am I.
I feel like,
If Man City
They'll
win
do
5-0,
similar things to what we did.
yeah, well, or what they did last season in the home game, which is get a goal and then say to Man City, "Go on then, take it, break us down." Yeah, I'll say Man United, but I mean, it could easily go. If City score first, it's a totally different game, isn't it? Man United have to come out and you can get them on the break, and they have been poor at home this season as well. Is what you got to remember. They've been pretty dismal. Won one game, so.
Well, maybe it'll be a draw then. Actually,
I will go with Man United, but
I don't know.
Just because they lost tonight.
I'll go United as well.
It's the only reason I'm doing it is because they lost tonight. It's such weird, warped logic.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So it's the football we live in nowadays.
Absolutely.
Everton v Chelsea. This
a good game.
Yeah, it will be a good game.
Good one, yeah.
I think Everton's midfield is starting to cost them a bit. I
agree.
I think their decor is shit. That's a pretty safe take to make. I think now. I think over the season you'll start to see them getting slated. The issue is when players have a good start, people give them more time because they think he's good. I remember Pookie had it. He didn't get slated until about February. But yes, I think Chelsea's midfield will show up. I think Kante will be elite. Is Kovacic is playing for Chelsea, isn't he? Because I know
it's sort of him or Havertz at the moment, I think. Because Mount and Kante seem to play most games. So it's sort of between those two.
That midfield's way better. I know James Rodriguez is good.
Much better.
And Alan's a fine player, but Chelsea and they'll win the midfield battle.
With Everton, I've not seen a lot of him this season, but I sort of remember that they beat Tottenham first day of the season, and everyone was raving about Alan.
Yeah.
With him, I know he's worked with Ancelotti before. It sort of reminds me a bit of Torreira. So when we brought Torreira in, it was sort of someone to, a smaller, diminutive player that kind of gets about the pitch a bit, nips in, makes a few tackles, but kind of over time, his performance has dipped because I think physically he wasn't at the level. And I'm not saying this will be the same with him, but there's just something about him that kind of reminds me of him in the way that he was really good on his debut. I think he got man of the match at Spurs. And then their performances have dipped a little bit. And I'm not saying it's entirely due to him. And actually, with Torreira, you could argue that the biggest problem was sort of who he was playing with. And it might be similar with Alan. But, we'll see. I think with Ancelotti, which is what I meant to say with Arteta earlier, Arteta's definitely being limited by his players. And Ancelotti's no different. Everton are ninth at the moment. I know it's tight, but he's coming... Yeah, they're ninth, yeah. And he spent quite a bit of money in the summer. It's kind of gone under the radar a little bit, that their form has dropped off quite considerably. They drew at Burnley.
Yeah. Who does that? Who draws with Sheffield United? Or who, there's three teams.
No one draws with Sheffield United.
That you have to beat. Or it's basically a points deduction of Sheffield United, Burnley, West Brom. If you don't beat
Fulham as well.
Yeah, maybe Fulham. Although Fulham look quite good, I thought. In Spurs.
Who they play this weekend? I don't even know.
No. But not.
Don't even know. Did they play?
Did they even play football?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think Chelsea win.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be similar to the Man United game. Everton just didn't have a midfield in that game. You're right. In some games, it just doesn't function.
Yeah.
I can see Chelsea getting undone at some point though, in a game like that.
Yeah, we'll do them on Boxing Day, mate. Don't worry about it.
it won't be a game like that. It'll be a game like Southampton or Leicester when they get done.
Yeah. I think that is.
Southampton they did, didn't they? It was 3-3.
Southampton. Oh yeah, no, yeah, they did.
No,
Yeah.
true, yeah.
But I mean, a smart manager. Like, I'm sure.
You like Hasenhüttl, don't
I
you?
do. He's quite smart. He knows his football.
Mm.
But anyway, talking of Southampton v Sheffield United is
Yeah.
next,
Yeah, it's
and Southampton
surely.
win.
Oh, Sheffield
Yeah.
United. Poor bastard.
Sheffield United, they're in big trouble.
You know what? I didn't think they'd do as badly as they are, but last season
It's points
I
record
didn't.
stuff at this point.
I didn't think they'd do great last season, and they did really, really well. But if you're looking at it, last season they were winning all their games by 1 goal, and now all those games they're winning by 1 goal, they're losing by 1 goal, and you wouldn't think it, but it's like it adds up to so many points over a season. Those sort of fine margins, they're not going their way where they were last season. So I'm not saying the signs were there, but I'm saying they probably weren't as good as they, their league position suggested last season. I don't think they're as bad as rock bottom, even if they do go down this season. I don't think they'll end up bottom of the table, but
No, they won't.
it's just hard to see them winning a game at the moment. I think once they win one,
Yeah, they've forgotten how to win, I think. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
yeah,
People are
I
saying
think I'll
they're
go
going
to
to
Southampton as well.
going to break Derby's
good run.
record. They won't do that.
No, they're a better team than that Derby team. I remember that. They were just awful.
Anyway,
What was it? 14 points they got.
Yeah.
9.
11, I think. Was it 9?
Single digits, 9.
9.
Yeah.
I think you're right, actually. I think
think-
yeah.
I think the Huddersfield one got 13. Anyway, we're on an hour already. So, Crystal Palace
Just enjoying
Spurs.
that time.
Spurs.
Got back Spurs.
Actually, no. Crystal Palace did win 5-1.
But they lost home to Newcastle last home game.
It was 10 men as well, wasn't it? To be fair.
I'm going to go for Crystal Palace. We've got to go different.
Really?
Yeah, I am.
I can see
I'll
a
have a-
draw. I can't see us losing.
I'll have a
Wow.
Desmond.
I
I'll have a
knew you were going to say that. I knew
I'll
you
have
were
a
going to say that.
I'll have a Desmond. I like a Desmond.
Arsenal v
No,
Burnley.
no. I know you don't like Liverpool, Bob, but you've got to make a prediction.
Oh, I keep skipping over teams.
I know.
Yeah, Liverpool.
Yeah, Liverpool.
Easy.
Wary of time. Yeah, Liverpool.
It could be double figures, to be honest.
We should
Yeah.
probably talk about that. I mean, Liverpool just are really good, aren't they? Like when
Yeah.
they're good, they are just exceptional to watch.
There's a reason we've glanced over that.
Yeah, Bob. Oh,
So yeah, Liverpool win.
I think so as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Safe take. Now this is
Yeah,
the
definitely.
issue is I skip over ones I think to get ones that are really interesting, like Arsenal v Burnley.
Oh,
dr-
that would be great.
a
mate.
draw.
Relegation 6 points.
Relegation 6-pointer, as
Wait.
ESPN Sport tweeted.
That was so funny.
I'll be there as well, lads. I'll be in the
Will you?
ground for the
Nice.
first time.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're going,
absolutely.
brilliant.
Got my mask sent to me today by Arsenal
Nice.
to attend the
Very
game.
nice.
And,
Thank you,
we're-
Kroenke.
We're in. It's a bit deflating actually because I sort of wanted to get because you only basically with the ballot there's like 14,000 people in it, 2,000 get it at a time obviously. Then once you've had it, you're out until everyone's been in once. So basically, I'll be out for the next 5 games after this. And while it's great to get back in the ground so quickly for the first league game, obviously because we're in such bad form, I kind of wish it was a couple of games later after we've had a few wins and there's a bit more sort of momentum going into it and you can get excited about it. Having said that, it will be great to be back in, I have to say.
Here is a question for you though.
Yeah.
Chris
Will you be
Wood.
seeing a win?
I can see
Will I be
Chris.
seeing a win?
Chris
No, I
Wood-
think I do think we'll beat them. Yeah, I'd be worried if we don't. When you're looking at Arteta's job and it becoming untenable. I do think if we don't win any of the next 4 or 5 games, which do get easier. I mean, we've still got Chelsea thrown in there, but that's at home. We've got Burnley, Southampton, and Brighton in our next
Easily
5.
Losable games.
They are losable, but on paper, you have to win them if you're
Yeah.
Arsenal manager. Do you know what I mean? So.
Burnley
Yeah, I
win,
think we'll,
Chris
be, I
Wood
think we'll
header.
beat Burnley. I think it'll be
No.
fucking unconvincing.
Burnley win. Burnley win.
Why?
No, I
Sell
reckon
it
I
to
think
me.
Arsenal will win.
Chris Wood is really good at football, and Sean Dyche's got to turn around at some point. So
Mate, he's the perfect he that sort of striker is just perfect for Gabriel to just sit on and for him to just kick him basically.
yeah, but he's not perfect for Rob Holding.
Rob Holding probably won't play. I wouldn't have thought.
All right. Well,
I think Louise will, but yeah, we'll see. I like an out there prediction.
Yeah, Burnley.
Predicted Desmond.
Nah, Burnley win.
No, I think
Goose,
Arsenal
do you?
win.
Nice. And Leicester v Brighton on Amazon, which again will be a cracker of a game.
Interesting.
But
Will they deliver?
any danger of Brighton? Yes, great joke.
It's your joke.
I
Right.
know. Great to see Leicester have so many players in their prime. Okay.
No, I got it.
I think Leicester will win, but Brighton will dominate again like they did against fucking Southampton. Any danger
Yeah.
of turning your XG into goals, lads?
I don't think that was a penalty either, by the way.
No.
But I'm glad it was, because otherwise we'd be 16th. So it's all right at the moment.
Yeah,
every
Leicester win.
little victory.
I think it'll be a draw.
Interesting. So that was the football bit for the weekend. Now we go on to interesting news.
It's everyone's favourite bit, isn't
Everyone's favourite bit. So the first one, which is mental, is Bad Sex and Fiction Award cancelled, as people were suffering enough in 2020. So this awards show, which is the Bad Sex and Fiction Award, has been called off because they thought people are having shit enough here as it is. They don't want to hear about this award.
So, hold on a minute.
What award?
It's the
What is this award?
bad sex and fiction.
Bad
So
sex in fiction.
yes, they reward for anything
How
like
does that-
this. I don't know. I don't know how it works. I don't know what it is.
So what huge sex havers decide what these bad sex scenes are?
Yeah, like
Right. Well, sorry, I might be slow catching on here. What is this?
Is this
bad
like in
sex
TV
writing?
TV and film or something?
no, it's in
That's what
so it's in books.
and
but-
books.
Yeah, I think it's literature that's sex is written so badly that they give an award for it. But
I see.
it's
Are
like it's
people
like
gutted about this.
well,
They're
clearly.
looking forward to this, this
Finally.
annual award show.
I've written this terrible version of. I've called it 45 Shades of Grey, and it's not getting the appreciation, and it's not getting the appreciation it deserves. But I just thought that was so.
I can't believe that's a thing.
Sorry,
So
so
there are so
I
many
still-
award shows for these things now.
still don't understand. What is it? Is it supposed to be some sort of like form of comedy, or is it sort of
think-
supposed to be detailing, bad sexual experiences? I mean, what is this, for goodness sake?
I think it's bad writing. I think it's just for like the wooden
Bad writing
spoon.
of sex scenes.
Yes, I think it's just like the wooden spoon of the sex literature industry.
All right, I see.
So it's a sort of a backhanded compliment then.
Yeah, no. So okay, there's a definition here, which is the most outrageously awful sex scenes in descriptions in an otherwise good novel. So
Right,
if
okay.
you write this, if you
It's a
write
niche award, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
that's what you've got in mind when you're penning your next novel. Is right. I've got to make it
Yeah.
really good. However, when it comes to steamy sexual scenes, they have to be absolutely goddamn dreadful.
she put 8 fingers in her mouth. So yes, and talking of crazy stories, there's another one which is Namibia local council elections has no plans for world domination because his name, of course, is Adolf Hitler.
Hitler.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Any
can see that
relation?
one, actually.
Any is this
Yeah.
bloke of any relation?
He's not. His
Is there, any,
parents.
is there any sort of collection? I'm having a look at him now.
He's no, he's not related.
Unona Adolf Hitler.
Yes, his dad didn't know. Dad didn't know who Hitler was, which
His sorry.
That is unfortunate, isn't
Let's
it?
start. Let's start again. Let's just. His dad didn't know who Hitler was.
yeah, and then called his
He just
cousin.
coincidentally named
How
his
old
son
was his
Adolf
dad?
Hitler.
How old was his dad? Because I'm assuming this bloke must have, must be pretty old.
So
if he's a
the guy-
politician.
He's 54.
He's 50,
so-
right. So this guy's 54. So his dad's got to be like, his dad must have been alive during the Second World War.
He probably
You
fought
need
in
to be
it.
alive to know who he is.
No. But my point is, if he was alive, then he must know who he is.
Yeah.
How could you not? Is my point.
That's like someone turning around
No,
nowadays and
it's-
saying, "Who's Donald Trump?"
Yeah.
And
Literally.
Yeah,
and
no.
he might have gone and fought in it. His dad might have gone and fought in the war.
I'm just reading about him now. It was a perfectly normal name for me when I was a kid. It wasn't until I was older that I realised that this man wanted to subjugate the whole world and kill millions of Jews.
I just thought he liked.
That's a bit of a shock. Find that out.
I mean, God.
It's an unfortunate name, isn't it? I mean, how do you think he found out? Do you think people just sort of, started picking on him or what?
maybe.
Learn about it in history, maybe.
Well, yeah, that's the part where he's like.
So I just still can't get over the fact his dad didn't know. I can't
the
understand that.
the teacher's going through the register, and it's like, Mr. Harris, what the fuck? Your name's Adolf Hitler. Is this a joke?
I'm shocked by that. I'm
Yeah.
shocked, but I'm glad he has no plans for mass
don't
genocide.
Or mate,
Yeah, that's a relief.
I don't think that even if you did have,
We don't need
plans,
any
though,
more madness in the world at the moment. Let's put it that way. Let's put it that way.
However-
Seeing as the vaccine's out now, and soon will all be controlled by PS4 controllers by Bill Gates.
it's fine.
You know, there's
or
no
China.
need for any more madness.
Yeah. So it's fine. Bill Gates has got us. He's got us sorted. Bill Gates is.
Well, I saw something earlier. Margaret from Coventry, I think her name was, 90 years old. I wonder what Bill Gates is gonna. What's she gonna do? What's he gonna do with her? I mean, what's the triangle button gonna do with her? I mean, God.
So yes, it's good to hear the vaccine, and it's good to get back to normality. There'll be a time
Good
where
to get some good news.
there'll be a time where we can
aside.
film this in person, which will be fun.
I look forward to that.
So
Yeah,
yes,
definitely.
thank you for listening. If you got this far, if you can, I should have said this at the start. Share. I might put something in. Share it. Tell your mates. Follow us on Twitter. It's @JustFootballPod. That'd be a great way to kind of spread this, and only if you like it, of course. So yes, thank you for listening.